mock draft as of right now. Little NFL talk. Please like, subscribe. We look into and talk about all different things here. We're gonna do a little sports coverage tonight. Please take our poll. Poll question is: will Travis Hunter's fiance hurt his draft status? Play each other. Final week of the year. What up, Maki? I'm glad the Lions won. Stretch. Yeah, I think they're going to keep her right out of the eye right now. And we're going to look into a little bit of the NFL draft and Travis and other people. I think the Patriots, as of right now, thank you for reminding me. Thank you, Mark. I'm like, no wonder why my battery fucking died so quick. Thank you. I've been running around trying to get the studio upstairs set up. And I forgot to put it back on while I was trying to charge the battery earlier. Brain fart. But I look at this draft, and after like the top, this isn't a great draft for any, like really for, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but when you look at this draft, oh, Kai, please. I'm sorry for your girl's loss and your loss if you were friendly with them. Regardless. You got shit to do, bro. Don't sweat it. You can always watch them after. It's all good, buddy. Life moves on. But I'm sorry for you guys' loss. Don't ever apologize for something like that, please. But you look at this draft in the Patriots. You don't got to explain nothing, man. I'm just honored that you even watch me talk about stuff. Yeah, you know, I know what you're saying, Mark. But when you look at this draft, all the top guys are right around the same. You get outside like the top 8 picks, the talent goes down quick. I don't think the Patriots can do much better than Hunter. There's another I didn't mean to say white. Another wide receiver I meant to say. I think he's like he's either Spanish or what do you call it? I guess you call it Hawaiian, or for a lack of a better way to say it. McMillan, he's a good receiver from Arizona. But when you look at it, there's only 2 really top shelf quarterbacks. And I don't think either of the 2 top quarterbacks this year are as good as the top 3 quarterbacks from last year. They might not even be as good as the top 5 quarterbacks from last year. When you really look at it. I think Drake May looks better than Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders right now. I think Williams in Chicago still looks better than them. And I know Jaden Williams looks better than them. I mean, Jaden Daniels looks better than them. So, like, when you look at the draft class, and I'm going to show you it, the Patriots don't really gain anything trading down. So, what the fuck? You got to get some. They got a lot of cap room. They're going to have to go and sign someone, a couple guys off free agency. T. Higgins, they keep saying they're going to go after. You got T. Higgins, and then they got like one or two receivers with potential. And then you got Travis that you play at wide receiver. I don't think Travis ain't going to be able to play both sides of the ball in the pros. But he could do a little bit of both. Or he could, you know what I mean? He could play one position and a little bit of the other. And I think he's going to end up playing offense. I really do. I think he's going to probably end up playing offense. But I don't see how the Patriots, I don't see how they can't take him. When you see the talent around him. And I'm going to show you what the guys that really do it for a living think as well. But that's what I think about it. What else do the Patriots do? Trade down for fucking nothing, for less. I don't think it makes sense. Yeah, I think even with her, he'll be fine. Even if he gets burnt, he'll be fine. And that's the part of the reason I think the Patriots need to take him, right? Because even if he gets off to a bad start, he'll always have trade value. Say things get off to a rocky start, right? Some other team is going to want him and will offer you a draft pick if it don't work out well. So that's why I think they should go for it. He's going to hold his trade value through the first season or two. Trust me. Because everyone's just going to say, if he doesn't do well up there, they're going to say, oh, it's because he's in New England. Look how bad they've been for a while. So I don't think it hurts them taking him. Because what's their other option? I mean, there's only one lineman they say that's good enough to go in the top 10 picks. No one's got, they need so much other help that they can address in free agency. The Patriots have a ton of money being able to they have a ton of money they could spend this year. So they could take care of that line, some of it, through free agency. They can scoop another receiver in free agency, maybe someone on the D line in free agency. Now you got some fucking talent. But let's see what the pros think.
Mock draft Monday.
Well, the Vikings ain't going to be picking until the end of the draft, so they're going to take the best player, I'm sure, available.
Right here on CBS Sports HQ Spotlight, and here's our latest mock.
There's your top 10 guys. And now McMillan was supposed to fall outside the top 10. They got him as high as 2 now. He was the only reason I see that New England moves down. You only got one offensive lineman. You only got 2 quarterbacks. You got 2 wide receivers, 1 that plays cornerback. You got another cornerback at Michigan that's dynamic. You got Michael Williams with Georgia. He's an edge rusher. He could play linebacker or defensive end. But I don't see how it benefits the Patriots to drop down. Look at how fast the talent falls. Like, it's a pretty quick drop off after you get outside the top 10. You can see it right through the top 10. How many of these guys do you really know? I watch a lot of sports, and I still only know about 6 of them. And most of them are in the top 6. The guys I do know about. I know about 7 out of 10. I don't think it benefits New England to drop down. And if shit don't work out with Travis, you can always trade him. Well, what else does New England do? Grab another quarterback and try and fucking force someone to trade a pick and a quarterback? Try and rape someone? You know? These teams aren't stupid. They're not going to go for it. I mean, the Browns might. They do a lot of dumb shit, but McMillan ended up going at possibly number 2 to the Titans. Ruined the Patriots' chances of dropping down. Because he's the only other guy that like really could help them and they could get some picks. But now he's the number 2. So if he's your guy over Hunter, take him. McMillan has been nasty. He does play with an attitude. He is bigger than Hunter. But I don't think he's as dynamic. I think you give Travis Hunter some time, he's going to be just fine. And with a guy like that, you got a kick returner. You got a guy that can you can play him wherever you want. Even if it's only a little bit. Even if you want him to play cornerback, you can put him in on fucking 3rd down and 5. 3rd and 10. I just think there's way more upside taking him.
Mock draft from Josh Edwards, and it's a doozy. Travis Hunter, number 1 to the New England Patriots. How about the Titans getting the number 2 pick and not going with the quarterback there, going with Theodore McMillan out of Arizona. Cam Ward to the Browns at 3, and Shedeur Sanders still going to the Giants at number 4. Let's get to it. Chris Hassel, joined by Josh Edwards, Ryan Wilson, and Mike Renner, who has said for months that Hunter would be a perfect fit for the Patriots. But Josh, how should the Patriots weigh taking their man, their number 1, or trading down, maybe getting even more assets and getting him a little further down the board?
Yeah, we had this conversation last year with the Patriots because we didn't think they were in a position to take a franchise quarterback. They have a lot of need. They need offensive linemen. They need wide receiver help. Fast forward to this season, Drake May has looked fantastic, but he just doesn't have enough around him. So if you throw in a player like Travis Hunter Jr., who has been dynamic after the catch this year, he's a downfield threat. You throw him into that offense, you give May a little bit of help. Now you just have to worry about the offensive line. So if you're able to trade back, still get a really high-quality wide receiver, still get a really high-quality offensive lineman and get some extra picks, I think that would be the right move. But we've got another week to see if the Patriots are even going to hang on to that number 1 overall selection.
I'll go. Yeah, here's the thing, and I think you make a good point, Josh, and there's a lot to like in this mock draft, but I'll just say this, and you touched on it. If you're going to be the Patriots, you want to give the impression that you are interested in trading down, and if you get stuck, you take Travis Hunter, and you feel great about it. I think sometimes they get a little cute, and I'll just go back to...
Why would they take an old lineman that's not going to get drafted until the fucking 8th overall pick, number 1? New England's in a rough spot. They're going to take the best player available. It's going to be fucking Travis Hunter. If they don't, I think they're fucking very stupid. They got plenty of money to spend on the free agency market. They got enough money to sign T. Higgins. They got enough money to sign a guy like fucking Trey Smith on the offensive line as a tackle. There's not that many good offensive linemen in this draft. I don't know why everyone keeps saying, oh, they're going to draft a lineman. No. You got a chance to draft a fucking Heisman Award winner. You fucking draft him. It's like the ghost of Bill Belichick still hanging around. Oh, we got to get more picks. When has New England ever done a better job getting more picks? I'll wait. That's all Bill Belichick used to do is say, I'm going to get more picks, more picks, more picks. Even after Brady left. It's never fucking worked. Besides Gronk and Hernandez. And then you got fucked on the Hernandez deal. Very few times has getting more draft picks helped the fucking Patriots. And you think Jerod Mayo is going to do a fucking better job with Belichick than Belichick with more draft picks? You need to fucking get your head checked.
Last Sunday, when they saw Ladd McConkey run all over the field against them, they had an opportunity to draft Ladd McConkey, and they didn't. And I'm sure they regret that. But your other point is also important. The last two drafts, they have drafted offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen. They need tackles in the worst way. So if you can move down to, say, 7 or 8, maybe the Raiders want to move up as we currently sit here, and you're able to still get a Tedrow McMillan and an offensive lineman, whether it's Kelvin Banks Jr. or Will Campbell.
Not going to happen.
That's a grand slam. I think Travis Hunter is the best player in this class, and it may not even be close, but if you have an opportunity to stockpile picks.
This is why you got to watch these guys on TV. He just had McMillan at the number 2 pick overall. So how are they going to get two top 10 picks out of this draft class? You failed to fucking say that. Oh yeah, trade down, get the get the offensive tackle and McMillan. You just said McMillan's going number 2 to the fucking Tennessee Titans. Fucking retard. Oh yeah, you're gonna get McMillan in the top fucking offensive tackle in the draft. These other teams know that New England's got to take Hunter because they don't need a quarterback. Drake May's looked all right. I don't think anyone can say Drake May doesn't deserve some chance to get developed. But these guys like him that think Patriots are going to be able to trade down and get 2 top 10 picks for fucking the number 1 pick when everyone that's below them needs a quarterback is delusional. New England's in a bad place. They're in the number 1 pick and they don't need a quarterback. It's like the worst thing that can happen to a team drafting someone. Unless you get a talent like Travis Hunter. I think a lot of people are hating on him. I do. I swear. It makes me wish the Patriots could pull off the deal to take. This is what I wish the Patriots could do. Call me crazy. Find a way, right? Draft Shiloh. And then fucking trade a pick for Drake May. Take Travis Hunter and make Dion your coach. Call me crazy. Call me fucking crazy. But that would be one way I'd think about doing something. Right? Say, we'll trade you Drake May for your first overall pick. We're taking Shiloh. We're taking fucking Travis. And we're taking Dion for our new head coach. Wouldn't that be some shit? I know it sounds far-fetched, but who said New England couldn't pull something like that off? Even if you don't take Dion as your head coach. All right, give us Shiloh. That's more of a way you could maybe trade for some picks. We'll give you fucking Drake May, but you're gonna give us your first round pick. And we're gonna take Hunter and we're gonna take another quarterback. And I would probably take Shiloh. I mean, excuse me, Shador. I always mix the brothers' names up. Excuse me. Take Shador and fucking send Drake May away? I don't know. If it gets you more picks in the future, it might be worth it. Maybe, but you don't know. You don't fucking know. Drake May's got 2 concussions already this year. But that's what I'm saying. How the fuck are you trading away? How do you not take fucking Travis Hunter? Patriots got to take him. I think if they don't take him, they're fucking idiots. I really do. At least get people excited about football in New England again. What the fuck?
Picks, because they have needs just about everywhere. They have Christian Gonzalez, they have Keon White, they have Drake May, and that's it. Then you go trade down and try to improve the team as much as possible.
I'll just add that I think, especially in this draft class, you don't want to trade down too far for the New England Patriots. I'm listening to trade deals, but I'm listening to trade deals to go to like 3 or 4, because after that, we're going to go back into the top 10.
Thank you.
It's not going to be like a blue chip.
Save more when you...
I fucking told you guys I do my research. Fucking analysts telling you exactly what I just told you. There's no one worth it once you get past that 4-5 pick. Especially if McDaniel, or McMillan, excuse me, the wide receiver for Arizona, finds his way in the top 5. It don't work for the Patriots any other way.
Class, so you can stay somewhere in that top 5 and pick up like a future first or a second and a third. I'm very interested in that if I'm New England Patriots.
Yeah, based on everything you guys have said, it's really only 2 quarterbacks that are going to be taken in the top 10 and maybe even the entire first round. You got the Tennessee Titans, Josh, at number 2. Not going with a quarterback. You have him going with Tetairoa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, uber talented. But in this scenario, in this mock, are you believing that the Titans stick with Will Levis another year?
No, this is not a Will Levis endorsement. It's not a Mason Rudolph endorsement. What happens before the draft is free agency. So one thing that I laid out in the intro is that the Titans could be in the mix for Sam Darnold if he becomes free. I feel a little bit less confident that that's going to happen after seeing the way that his teammates rallied around him after yesterday's win. I think Minnesota's probably going to bring him back at this point. But in the specific scenario, I looked at the...
And there's your free agent quarterbacks in 2025. Wilson, Fields, Winston, Jones, Donald. Donald's probably going to end up back in Minnesota. I don't see how Minnesota doesn't bring him back. And I don't see how he doesn't want to go back. It seems like them guys really enjoy him there. They fucking went nuts for him in the locker room after they beat the Packers yesterday. Russell Wilson's probably going to keep his job in fucking Pittsburgh and end up fucking running that into the ground or getting thrown the fuck out of there by fucking Mike Tomlin. Because that shit's going to get old quick. It might take another year, but Russell Wilson's about done. And he just, I don't know, everywhere he seems to go, it gets worse as the year goes on. Mac Jones, he's a fucking turd. We know that. Jameis Winston, he's a fucking turd. Drew Lock, Andy Dalton, Jimmy Garoppolo, Cooper Rush, Mason Rudolph, all turds. Bunch of turds. So how do the Patriots fucking make any moves? Most teams already got their fucking quarterbacks.
Titans is a potential fit for Sam Darnold in free agency, which means unless you go the route that Atlanta went last year, signing Kirk Cousins, then drafting a quarterback in the first round, now you have the opportunity to go take that number 2 overall pick and get another player. Because last year they were very aggressive in adding talent to this roster. They went out, they traded for Ernest Jones, they got L'Jarius Sneed, they signed Calvin Ridley.
This dude's going to go inside the top 10. Patriots ain't going to get a shot at him. Let's see who has the picks. There's no team with 2 first-round picks. So when you keep saying the Patriots can trade down and get 2 picks in this round, explain it to me. I love when everyone says, oh, they'll trade down and they'll get extra picks for this and this and this. How? There's no team with 2 picks in this year's draft.
So how the fuck's that working? Unless the Patriots keep their pick and trade their quarterback. How does that fucking work? Do you get what I'm saying? You don't know how to do math. JBC877. How are they getting 2 picks in the fucking first 10? I'll wait. Without trading a fucking quarterback. And taking their own pick. How the fuck does that work? It's impossible. You need 2 teams to have a fucking pick. Or they got to trade Drake May. Fucking ding dong. You can't just make picks out of thin air. Come on.
So they went out, they traded for Ernest Jones, they got L'Jarius Sneed, they signed Calvin Ridley. If you still believe in the roster and the talent that you accumulated, let's drop Sam Darnold in here and then get him a weapon in the draft and see what we're able to accomplish.
You didn't say 2026. You said 2025.
I have to agree with Josh in that. I don't think quarterback has to be the play here. Even though they're drafting number 2 overall, one, I think there's that big of a gap between Cam Ward and others. Now in this mock draft, obviously, Cam Ward's available, but to what he said there, that they may see this, think someone's going Cam Ward at 1, and say we're going to go elsewhere via free agency or via trade because this roster still stinks. If you go any rookie quarterback, he's going into a situation where he has no one to throw to. He has one of the worst offensive lines. Pretty much every metric of receiver separation puts them in the bottom 5 in the NFL, and offensive line performance puts them in the bottom 5 in the NFL.
2026 ain't going to happen.
You could have a Bryce Young on your hands, no matter
the worst draft.
That offensive line, that even if they turn out good, it might not be good for a few years if you don't put the talent around him. So I do agree. You don't have to go quarterback at number 2 if you're the Tennessee Titans. It's another team that has such a bad roster that I may look elsewhere if I'm them.
Yeah, it's not even a Bryce Young situation. It's a Will Levis situation. Like, it's happening in real time, and he's gotten benched for Mason Rudolph. But it's funny you mentioned Bryce because don't forget, remember back in week 2, we're like, okay, the Bryce experience going to Carolina, trade him to Miami or wherever, let him sort of refine his career. Turns out 6 weeks on the bench did him some good, and he's playing like.
Who's coming in the...
They got to take him. There's not even a defensive tackle that's good enough to take with the fucking top 10 pick. They're slapping him in there because that's how bad we are at offensive line in this draft. Usually there's linemen like a motherfucker. This year, the pickings are slim.
In Alabama for the most part. Now the offensive lines play better in Carolina for sure, and that's helped. And he's got guys getting open. Adam Thielen looks like he's 23 instead of 33. But in terms of the Tennessee Titans and picking number 2 overall, I think you guys are both right. If this were last year's draft and they had the 2nd overall pick, this is a no-brainer. I don't care that you took Will Levis the year before. You're taking Jaden Daniels or Drake May or maybe even Michael Penix Jr. if he's there because that's how much better that last year's class was than this year's class. That said, Hassel, I'm telling everyone and their brother from now until the draft, if I'm the Tennessee Titans, that I'm taking a quarterback and then trying to pull a trade down scenario where you get some draft picks as well, because to Mike's point, they are not great on most.
No one's going to trade with them. That's what I think people are getting twisted. No one's going to trade with New England. They know that New England's fucked. They know New England's going to take the best overall pick, and they don't need a quarterback. Sorry, my phone fell. You think these other teams are stupid? They're not going to have to trade down to get their pick. I don't know why you guys don't realize that. The Patriots, since they have Drake May, unless they dangle him for trade bait, they don't have all the pull that they should. Because they don't need a quarterback. It fucks them. And the other teams need a quarterback, and they know that the Patriots aren't going to take their quarterback for them. And they know that they're not going to have to move up to do anything. The Patriots can lie and bullshit and do whatever they want. At the end of the day, those teams know they're not going to take one of them quarterbacks. They have their guy. The Patriots needed to get the number 1 pick last year, not this year. That's what fucked them.
Especially on defense.
I think Malachi Starks is a great place to start in the middle of that defense. They've had a ton of injuries as well. Jalen Jones has played really well as a second-year player. Juju Brents, their other cornerback, has been banged up.
And then what? You don't have a single lockdown corner? Not one? Or you put Travis out on an island by himself on a defense that's meh. It don't work, man. Any way you flop it, it doesn't work. I'm trying to tell you guys, that's why the Patriots just got to suck it up. The Patriots have to do damage in free agency. They got to get a left tackle in free agency. There's a couple available. They have to get the Bengals wide receiver that's going to be a free agent. That would be huge. They get a left tackle. They get Andrews back at center. They get Hunter. They keep Gonzalez. And they get fucking T. Maybe another wide receiver somewhere. They still got DeMarco. They still got a couple running backs that have potential. And then maybe they grab someone on defense somewhere in free agency. I think it sets them up much better going the free agency route than fucking playing games with the Travis Hunter pick. They don't have enough fucking leverage to deal the pick. Because they don't need if they needed a quarterback, it changes everything. But because they don't, it fucks them.
Up and on IR for much of the year. So you get a center fielder in there. Malachi Starks is a fantastic athlete. I think he adds that dynamism on the back end. You just got to get healthy. You need your quarterback to play a lot better as well, and that's another conversation. Joe Flacco clearly didn't have the juice that he had last year coming off the couch helping the Browns to get to the playoffs this year. But I think if you're going to take someone in the middle of the first round, there are certainly worse selections than Malachi Starks can come in right away and get after. He has track speed. He can track the ball well down the field. He can come downhill and defend the run. So he's a versatile piece, and he's easily the best safety in this class. He's probably going to end up being one of the best defensive backs.
All right, let's go to some picks that our analysts want to hit on. And Ryan, you wanted to hit on the Falcons pick of Benjamin Morris, the cornerback at number 17. What specifically don't you necessarily like about that pick?
I love Benjamin Morrison. The only issue is that he had the hip injury early in the season and didn't play for the rest of the year. He had the surgery, and I just want to see where he is injury-wise, because a knee injury, an ACL, we sort of have a sense for how that works recovery-wise, what the expectations are, timeline, 8, 9, 10 months, and you get back to near full health. Hip injuries are a little different, but coming into the summer, Benjamin Morrison was one of my favorite players, especially at the cornerback position. Yeah. But if you're the Falcons, you don't necessarily need edge help. Braylon Trice, who they drafted, got banged up before the start of the season. Their edge rusher, Arlen Bicetti's flashing, had a good game last night. They have Matt Judon, of course, the veteran there. So I would focus on the back end, opposite AJ Terrell, but I just want to make sure that he checks all the boxes health-wise, Benjamin Morrison. If he does, I'll in on this pick. But if not, I would just consider perhaps some other options before I went and turn that card in.
Yeah, the medical evaluation at the NFL Combine is going to be incredibly important for Morrison and some of these other players that are coming off injury. But I think he has the potential to be one of the best cornerbacks and overall players to come out of this class. So
I don't think they're going to be able to afford to do it, Mark. I don't think the Bengals can afford it. I don't think they're going to be able to afford it. They're going to let Jamar Chase go? They can't pay him and Jamar. I don't think they can afford both of them.
I think it's a big problem. Yeah, it doesn't look like they'll be able to keep him. Yeah, well, I'm glad you finally seen it my way, JB. That's what I told you. Pay fucking Higgins, draft fucking whoever, get Trey Smith or one of them guys. I think Trey Smith is a fucking free agent. Like, there's ways for the Pats to do their thing. Yeah, Burrows ain't gonna fucking take it. Nah, that ain't happening. Trust me. T. Higgins is gonna be a number one receiver. He already is. He's gonna end up getting fucking Justin Jefferson money. He might get as much money as fucking Jefferson or Jamar. But I think there's at least 2 or 3 decent tackles the Patriots got a shot at. That's what I'm saying. Why would you pass on Hunter? Get Higgins over there. You got Butte. You got what's his name there? Fucking Pop Douglas. You got Pop Douglas, T. Higgins, maybe Butte. You got fucking Travis. You know, you got something to cook with now. You got Ramondre. You got Gibson. Not that they're the greatest, but yeah, but no matter how good line the light, like, they got to fucking get some weapons. You know, they'll still have Travis fucking, they'll still have Hunter Henry. The Patriots aren't as far away as people think. If they go looking at fucking free agency, they got to get some people in free agency. If they don't, they will end up right where they are today. But right, they got a quarterback on a rookie deal. They don't got to spend money on fucking Drake May for a few more years. Get some guys around you. Make some money while the kid's young. That's why I laugh when everyone's like, yeah, just trade your picks. We haven't spent any money on anyone. Everyone keeps yelling, yeah, trade for more picks. Why? Why? You got all this money. You can go get guys that are proven. It don't make no sense. Like, who you trading for? No, but you were the biggest one saying it, JB. You were the biggest one saying trade that pick. Don't take Travis. You got to get a lineman and you got to get someone else in 2026 and waste another year. You don't got to waste no more time. You already got your quarterback. Trey Smith is going to be a free agent. He's a guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the best. He can play tackle. You got Ronnie Stanley, left tackle for Baltimore, free agent. Fucking stud. Fucking another stud. It just goes to show you people don't look into fucking... You guys got to look into things. Oh, just trade them all. Yeah, just get some more draft picks. Bill Belichick did that for years. That's the reason we are where we are. You can't just keep looking for more draft picks when you're drafting bums. When you keep getting draft picks and drafting bums, it doesn't do you any good. Yeah, let's trade the top pick for the best guy in the fucking country for fucking shitty picks down the road that are going to do nothing. It's just more Bill Belichick bullshit. The shit don't work. The shit don't work. You got to draft good players. You got to draft good players. Fucking nuts. Yeah, we're going to trade down and get 4 more picks for 4 scrubs that can't fucking play. Oh, yeah, we got 17 picks in the 8th round. Awesome. Shit don't work. You got to get guys with talent. You got a chance to grab a fucking Heisman Trophy winner. Let's do it. And then the Patriots got the other worry of if their fucking coach has a brain or not. On top of it, do you get rid of your fucking coach because he's a Momo? I think half the Patriots' problems are their coach. Me personally. And they keep saying Mike Vrabel's coming to town. I don't know if he's the answer either. I think it's time to get away from that Belichick bullshit. Cut all ties from the Belichick era.
Albert Breer here with us. Back and forth, Phil, on whether or not...
Well, I think Jerod Mayo got to go too. Jerod Mayo's not the answer either. JBCH. You do realize Travis played both sides of the ball? You do realize the guy played 140 snaps a game? It's how you can tell people that don't understand what they're talking about. All right, so say he gets to focus all his energy on one side of the field. You're nuts. He played twice as many fucking snaps every game than McMillan. Are you crazy? This is how you know people. He played offense and defense. He can play corner. Let him play. If he wants to play, let him play corner. Let him play corner. He played both sides of the ball. He never got to focus on one thing. You think McMillan's a better receiver than him if all he focused on was receiving? You think if all Hunter did was watch and pay attention to be an offensive player, McMillan's better than him? I think he had better stats than McMillan still. Pretty damn close. The guy was playing fucking 50 snaps on each side of the ball. 40 snaps on offense. 40 snaps on defense. You think if he didn't focus all of his energy on one position, he wouldn't have done better? What up, Bill Sloop? Happy New Year to you. Yeah, that shit's fucking wild. You guys don't give him enough credit. Listen, I know his girlfriend's a bitch and an asshole. But you guys got to fucking really realize how much of a special talent this kid is. You guys are arguing about a kid that played twice as many snaps as anyone his entire career on both offense and defense and really think he sucks. Are you crazy? You got to get your fucking head checked. You got to get your head checked. He played cornerback and wide receiver. 40 plus snaps a game. Both sides of the ball. Enough.
Not Jerod Mayo would keep his job next year. What is this lopsided loss and the way that it happened? What does that do for the decision making of the Crafts?
I'm not sure it really changes the calculus all that much for them when it comes to that game and that score. I really don't. I think they still want to see him back for a second season. I think the things that may raise more questions even than the outcome, and let's be honest, that was an embarrassing game. It was an embarrassing effort. I think there was questionable effort, and that's putting it politely at the very end of that game especially. But I think the things that may give ownership pause or would force them to be asking questions as to whether or not they have the right people in the right positions to lead this franchise moving forward are things like the communication between the staff. And how does Ramondre Stevenson end up in the starting lineup when Jerod Mayo is telling multiple media outlets beforehand that he won't be? Why is Drake May, the crown jewel of your franchise, why is he out there in a 30-point deficit behind a pair of backup offensive linemen when he's already been sacked 4 times and the line is what it is already? Those are the types of things that would have me asking hard questions as opposed to the score itself.
So just to clarify, it's not just the score and the way that they played in and of itself, but Saturday across the board should make the Crafts at least maybe think a little bit harder about the direction they move forward.
You're asking questions, Bert, in my opinion, about decision making. And I don't think, again, I think he's going to be back. I think Jerod Mayo is going to be back in 2025 as the head coach. Whoa. But those are the kinds of things that would, as an owner, force me to be asking hard questions after.
Well, I mean, there's certain things that are shocks to the system for them, too. I mean, let's just start the wins and losses, the black and white. 2 6-game losing streaks in the same season. They haven't had a 6-game losing streak in 30 years of ownership previous to this. It's happened twice in the same season now. Tom Curran's got the great term for it, the unforced errors, right? Like the mistakes in something you said on Sunday and having to walk it back on Monday. That's happened, 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah, you gotta go.
It's just like, I think appearances do matter. And like, I think like owners oftentimes look at these things as hits to the brand, right? Like, and this brand that was like a Tiffany brand, right? Like for like one of those, like they viewed themselves as a flagship franchise in the NFL, and the owners, the franchise valuation backed it up, all that different stuff. All that stuff is like eroding now. And these are the sorts of things that you look at and you say, okay, like that's something that we need to fix. And I do think image matters. And like to Phil's point, like these communication issues, like not only does it look bad on the outside, it causes you to ask a lot of questions on the inside. Like, is this staff together? Is he effectively managing his staff? Is he managing communication within his building? None of that stuff was ever a problem under Bill. Say what you will, for the most part, that was never an issue here.
Phil, it is interesting to me that you say you still think that he will be back. why? Like, what is it that the Crafts have seen? Is it just straight loyalty that they said to this guy, we anointed you 5 years ago? It was a year, everyone keeps using it's a year too soon type of thing. The talent, is it just as simple as that? Or is there something that you or someone else has seen that says, okay, there's something there to build on?
Well, I think they expected this to a degree, right? They understood they had one of the worst rosters in football. They understood that there would be bumps in the road with a head coach who's in his first year in that gig, 2 coordinators, really essentially, I know Alex Van Pelt's been an offensive coordinator before in title, but essentially in their first years with the gigs that they have, front office, same way with Elliott Wolf. And so they understood there would be growing pains. Yes, it was early, and yes, they had low expectations. And so I think for them, big picture, the fact that those expectations were met isn't fireable. And so whatever reasons they had for hiring Jerod Mayo in the first place, Albert, I think would still have to exist, and that would be the reason why they would continue with this moving forward.
I think like the one thing you have to look at, like, and this is just a really obvious thing, is that you hired him a year or two earlier than you intended to. So you should have expected some growing pains. So what's the pound of flesh that you have to take now for the growing pains being worse than you expected them to be? I think we can agree, right?
Sure.
Like, they expected growing pains, they expected bumps. It's bumpier than they thought. The growing pains are stronger than they thought they would be. Is it at the point where the pound of flesh has to be the whole operation?
Yeah.
Or is it, well, we've got to make it stronger around him? And I think they're still at the point internally where it's, okay, like, we need to take a look at everything that we do. And that doesn't mean throwing people overboard left and right, but maybe we are behind the times. Maybe this thing that we did build in 2000 does not work anymore and was being held up by a single person who wanted to do it that way, just because it worked for him. I mean, I know we'll get to this later in the show, but they are way behind in a lot of different ways. And it's hard to blame Bill for that because it worked for Bill for so many years. But it's on them for not going through a full process last year that would have highlighted that to them.
So how do you catch up? Because I've always, and you guys know this, I've always disagreed that it was a year too early because I don't know how much Jerod Mayo would have grown as a coach in one more year behind Bill Belichick.
Can I give you one nuance to that too? The other thing that's on the Crafts is for the way they set this up. Because if you are going to put in place a succession plan, there is zero gray area on this whatsoever. You have to have the head coach on board.
Yeah.
And the head coach wasn't on board last year. And so that led to a fractured staff, and that led to Jerod Mayo not having a mentor. Like, the way that thing is supposed to work when you put a succession plan in place is the head coach is supposed to mentor the guy who's going to succeed him while they're both on the staff together. That didn't happen. That's the way those things are supposed to work, and it didn't happen because ownership didn't set it up that way.
My understanding is Bill had a pretty good idea.
And as sick as I was of Bill Belichick, and I think Brady and the guys that he put around Brady were such good team players, they put up with his shit. I think Bill Belichick gets this team to win 6 games, and Drake May is your starter day one. I think this team wins at least another 3 or 4 games under Belichick this year. I don't think Jerod Mayo's the guy. Even with the talent he had this year, I think Bill Belichick wins at least another 3 or 4 games, which would have been enough to put him in the fucking mix for a playoff run.
That Jerod Mayo was going to be the next guy.
You have to have him on board.
It was a question of when, and when you start to perform the way they performed, then everybody starts looking over their shoulder, and it's an unhealthy sort of situation.
That's number one. Like, I think that part of it's really, really important. Like, and I think that from the jump is like, and then you go to what you need to add, which is a lot.
Okay, so let's just say, for argument's sake, that Mike Vrabel does become available. Adam Schefter reporting today that Mike Vrabel's consulting agreement with the Cleveland
They
Browns
can't afford
expires
Higgins long term.
today. Field Yates has added this little nugget for any team with a head coaching vacancy. This means Vrabel is eligible to interview for those jobs immediately. The Jets, Saints, Bears, if interested, could get a head start on other teams that will soon have openings. So, Bert, if you are the Patriots, are you already talking to and at least exploring the option of bringing in Mike Vrabel?
I think if you want to be in it, you've got a back channel now. So, like, that's a discussion the Crafts probably have to have alone, and they've got a level of trust with Mike Vrabel where they could.
Well, if he did, he would have won more games than Matt.
like this is something that Mike wanted. This was not in his deal initially. This is something that he and worked out. The Browns wanted to.
You're talking about the timing of
the timing of his release. Yeah, this was not initially in his deal. This is something that was worked out recently. I think Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry wanted to do it for Mike because they really appreciated his work. I wrote this a few weeks ago. He was working with the tight ends over the summer. He was working with the offensive line more recently. He's helped them with certain things as far as their operation goes. He's done a lot for them and helped them in a lot of different ways. And so they wanted to do him a solid and get him out there early. So he wants a jump on the market. So now he's getting that jump on the market. And I can just tell you, I think the Raiders would have a ton of interest in him. I think the Giants, if they...
Yeah, I don't think he's the Patriots' answer either. He's just going to be Belichick 2.0. Let's check out the playoff picture. Vikings and Lions tied for the top spot. Got to play each other going into the final week of the season.
With QuickBooks Solopreneur.
But I don't think, even if they try to... See, this is the thing that the Patriots do have in their favor. Free agency starts before the draft. So they'll have an idea where they stand before they go into it. But they're not in a position to move. I think the worst thing they could do was not draft fucking Hunter. Because it just goes to show, like, you're not trying to fucking... People want to be entertained. People want to see fucking players that are supposed to be exciting. You got a Heisman Trophy winner after all the horrible years since Brady left. That's dynamic. Give people in New England a reason to watch football again. Enough of the fucking bullshit. Spend some money. And people forget, like, this generation of the NFL, a lot of it's getting old. There's going to be this batch of players that are coming in the next 4 or 5 years is going to be the new NFL. A lot of the NFL players that are studs are getting older. And the game has changed. I think people are fucking really drafting Travis early. I don't understand why people are so fucking... My one fear of it is his girlfriend or his fiance. But even if the shit gets out of control... You got him on his first contract. You can still deal him for a first-round pick, even if it doesn't go well. You can always get your first-round pick back for him. I don't understand why people don't look at that as good currency.
On the 49ers at Levi's Stadium, a win by Detroit, and they retake that division lead ahead of their matchup at Ford Field. The Rams also securing the NFC West thanks to the Commanders' win, which secures strength of victory as a tiebreaker in that potential Week 18 matchup, that could have been in the Seahawks battle. All right. Let's welcome in Charles Davis and Trent Green, our game analysts here on CBS Sports HQ. Fellas, great to be with you as always. Thanks for stopping by. Let's get to the mega matchup in Week 18, which is going to be Vikings and Lions. And again, under the assumption that Detroit gets through tonight unscathed, which has been tough, especially on defense. Charles, I'm going to give you first word. What interests you most about that battle for the North?
The defensive side of the ball, and I know offense is what we really lock in on, and rightly so. Both of them have been incredible. The quarterbacks have had phenomenal seasons, and they have weapons, and they're using them quite well. But how will this game be played defensively? What will Aaron Glenn, defense coordinator for Detroit, do? He's lost a lot of people throughout this season, doesn't have the same guys to do everything that he would like to do. How does he keep Minnesota in check? And then the flip side is we know how aggressive Brian Flores is, don't we, Trent? He's going to come after you no matter what with a lot of exotic, and I know we use that word so often, but in this case, exotic occasionally looks at people go, wow, that seems unsound, yet they're in the quarterback space and they affect things. So to me, I want to see who can limit the other's possessions, come up with a couple empties, and maybe help their offenses gain an advantage.
You know, Charles, I love this matchup, and it's a great point about the defense. You know, you look at this matchup, and you're like, okay, if you win this game, you're going to get the bye. You get the number 1 seed. If you're not, you're the 5 5 seed. You're going on the road. You've got to go to LA, Tampa, or Atlanta. So this is huge ramifications for this. But I want to go back to week 7 when these two faced the first time, and it was a 2-point victory for the Lions. And what they were able to do is get a big lead, and then the Vikings come back, and then they get the late field goal by Bates to win the game. But if you go back and watch that, and I suggest if any of you have the ability to go back and watch week 7, there have been a lot of exciting games in the NFL this season. But that week 7 matchup, it was so evenly matched. I looked at time of possession was only 6 seconds difference. You looked at sacks, you look at yardage, you look at first downs, you look at third down percentage. Everything is evenly matched. And then it comes down to turnover ratio. The turnover at the end in the fourth quarter is what set up that win and why the Vikings were able to take the lead. But then the Detroit Lions were able to respond to it. So you look at this matchup, and I know, Charles, with the defense, that's a great point. But they are so evenly matched. The injuries have been an impact. That's every team in the NFL right now. But you've got 2 hot teams, 2 hot quarterbacks. I'm so excited about this matchup. I can't wait.
We'll see it on national TV. It's been flexed to the Sunday night game. It'll be the final regular season game of the 2024 season, Jen. Should be a good one. The one that we saw last night, pretty good too, huh? Commanders taking care of the Falcons in overtime. And Trent, I'll give you first word on this Washington team. A preseason total of 6.5 wins. They make a coaching change. They get a rookie quarterback. Not only do they have double-digit wins, but they're back in the postseason for the first time in a handful of years.
Yeah, it's impressive, and I know Jaden Daniels gets a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. He's in position to be the offensive rookie of the year. Obviously, great Bowers with the Raiders has something to say about that. Bo Nix has something to say about Malik Neighbors is coming on strong over 1,000 yards. So there's some other rookies, but I think it really comes down to Jaden Daniels and what he's been able to do, and Dan Quinn doesn't get enough credit. You look at what Dan's turned around that defense. They were 32nd in defense a year ago, and now all of a sudden with Jaden Daniels leading the way, they go from 4 wins a year ago to already at 11 wins and qualifying for the playoffs. So give him credit. The throw that he made throughout this game, the plays that he makes with his feet, that play in particular, rolling to your left and throwing back over the middle the way that he did to get that first touchdown that we showed there. It's phenomenal body control and just his leadership. The thing that jumps out to me, Charles, is when you watch him, how calm he is in the big moments. And he doesn't ever waver. It's like, okay, how is this kid handling this pressure the way that he is? And I know he played in big games in college. I know he's handled all that stuff. But everything is on the shoulders. And I played in Washington for 4 years. I know how the fan base is there. I know how much attention is placed on that team. He came in with not a lot of expectations for the team this season because, as I said, and as you just mentioned, Tommy, that only 4 wins a year ago. But they just got things turned around, and it's been impressive what Jaden Daniels has done. I've been really hard for a rookie to come in and make an impact like he has, but he definitely has made that impact.
Yeah, and Trent, I'll piggyback off of what you're talking about, starting with Jaden Daniels. You played in big games in college, and I'm pretty sure if I asked you, college to the pros, is it a little bit different until you get used to it?
Oh, yeah.
The answer is yes, right? So you have to go through the fire, and it's a different way of going about it. I don't care how big a games you played in college. The NFL is going to be different, and this young man has handled it well. Arizona State, LSU, and on. I think part of it is when he went to LSU, unlike a lot of youngsters nowadays, they go to places where they're quote-unquote guaranteed to be the starter. He didn't ask that question. He just asked, is there an opportunity? And he went and seized it at LSU. Plus, as Trent can attest and tell people, if you can play for Brian Kelly in college, if he can be your head coach and quarterbacks guy, you can play for anyone because Brian's going to test the heck out of you. And Jay Daniels passed that test with flying colors. The leadership aspect you touched on, Trent, how often do teams really, truly let a rookie take charge? It's hard to do. It's difficult. This team did because he took over right away, not in a heavy-handed way, just by what he showed, how he came to the facility every day, how he worked. But I think about this Washington team in a bigger picture. Ownership, but still new to all of us. But they hired Adam Peters as the GM. He's hit all the right notes. Hired Dan Quinn as the head coach. He's obviously hit all the right notes. And
the number 1 movie in America is...
Yeah, I agree. I think Washington's on their way to being a good franchise soon.
Olamide Zaccheaus, the wide receiver, will serve as my example for why things are working there. He played for Dan Quinn in Atlanta, knew how Dan operated, plus Dan is the new improved version. He can transmit that to the rest of the team. This is what you're going to get. I speak DQ. Don't worry about that. And he's increased his game as well. He's become a primary guy for them. So a lot of guys have jumped their games up. Dan Quinn is the new improved version of himself. Adam Peters doing a great job as a GM. And ownership has that whole city, that whole area feeling good about itself. To the point, Trent, that they're talking about building a new stadium back where RFK was and getting back downtown where probably this Washington team belongs.
It was great to see what was at stake last night, guys, because on the flip.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I can't wait to watch that game this weekend between Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings. Whoever wins that game's got home field throughout the playoffs. Big deal. And I'm not sold on either team yet. I still think nobody's going to beat Patrick Mahomes. I still don't see it. Maybe if Detroit wasn't so beat up. But I think Detroit, if they don't get healthy quick and get some guys back, is in trouble. Especially if Detroit doesn't win against Minnesota. If Minnesota knocks off Detroit and they go from having home field advantage throughout the playoffs to having to play on the road after being an indoor team, I think it's going to hurt them massively. I really do.
Flip side, Atlanta loses. They were in pole position for the division. Now that goes into the hands of the Tampa Bay Bucks. And Charles, you had that game over the weekend. They retake that NFC South lead. An impressive win over the Panthers, coming off that disappointing game against the Cowboys here. They've got everything else in front of them here. What stood out to you about how they responded on Sunday?
Yeah, they responded in a big way, and I thought part of it was very simply frustration. They knew what they had blown in Dallas in a game that they should have handled. They had a better football team. They didn't play to that level. The other part was they played a lot of tight games along the way. This was a chance to take advantage of a team that wasn't there for them, that shouldn't have been on their level, and they did it. So put it all together now. But I look back through their season, Trent, and I see a team that has some incredibly big wins along the way. They beat Washington in week 1 at home. They won at Detroit. They beat Philadelphia. They won at the Los Angeles Chargers. Sounds great, doesn't it? So why are they in this position? Lost twice to Atlanta. At Kansas City in overtime when they had a chance to go, didn't do it. Lost to an 0-2 Denver team at home early in the season when they were playing pretty well. And, of course, we already mentioned Dallas. They're in this spot by their own doing, but have a chance to take care of their own business. They just got to take care of New Orleans, and I think that they will.
And we've seen how dangerous they can be in the postseason, winning a game, threatening in the next round. Nobody wants to play Baker Mayfield and the Bucs in the playoffs. Trying to get you back into this conversation here. Both of your guys' thoughts on Josh Allen, really Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson when it comes to the MVP race. It just seems like anytime one plays, they're narrowing the number, and then the other plays, he's lengthening the number. Trent, when you're asked about whether Josh Allen's done enough to hold on to that MVP lead, which the sports bookmakers certainly have him there right now, what do you usually respond with when it comes to that?
Well, I think that Josh Allen is the front runner. And listen, that's nothing against Lamar and the type of season he's had, a phenomenal season, and in many years would be the MVP. You also look at what Saquon Barkley's doing, what Joe Burrow's doing, the numbers that he's been able to put up. But when I start talking about MVP, it's the impact of.
And how crazy is it that Patrick Mahomes isn't even in the discussion for an MVP? Yeah, they got home field throughout the whole thing. Lost their best receiver. And still get the job done. And it's kind of like the Brady thing Mahomes is going through. Like, he might not have all the numbers that them guys do, but he wins fucking games. He's not even in the conversation for the fucking MVP this year. That's nuts. They got the best record in football. Come on. I hate the fucking Chiefs. I'm a Patriots guy. You think I want Mahomes breaking all Brady's records? I don't. But let's keep it real. How the fuck does that guy get left out of the conversation?
Of the team and what you're able to do. I don't like the argument when people say it's overdue for Josh. Josh has been deserving in previous years. He just didn't have the numbers to match up against other guys. I don't like that. You should take the season as it is individually, and I think Josh has proven this year that he is the most valuable player in the league. Listen, Lamar Jackson, he has Derrick Henry in the backfield. Derrick Henry could be in that argument for MVP, especially with what he did up until week 14, 13, 14, right around that time frame. He was right in that conversation. If you look at what Saquon Barkley and they have in Philadelphia, if you look at Joe Burrow with no defense, they've got to put up big numbers and a lot of points. And why Jamar Chase is having a big year, and T. Higgins is putting up numbers. Most recently, the 3 touchdowns that he had against Denver the other night. So you look at all the things around and who Josh Allen has and how he's able to pull these wins out, both with his legs and his arm. I just think this is the season that he's deserving of the MVP. Nothing against those 3 other guys that I mentioned. I just think Josh Allen has been so valuable to this team and why they're in the position they are.
And Trent, I like what you said there about, let's not just give it.
And he's played great, and he's played with a broken hand. I get it. But let's look at who he plays in this division. Patriots, garbage. Jets, garbage. Dolphins, pretty much garbage. He got 6 wins if they show up right there. And it's not his fault. He can't help who he plays against, but he's got 6 games against fucking 3 teams that aren't very great. Just saying. You look at Lamar Jackson, even though he has Derrick Henry, he's got to play the Bengals. He's got to play the Browns, who aren't very good. But I still think he's got tougher competition playing the Browns, Bengals, and Steelers than the Patriots, Dolphins, and Jets. And then you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's got a tougher fucking schedule than all of them, probably. Pretty close, at least by their records. Other than the Raiders, he's got to play 2 teams that are right in the playoff mix. He's got to play the Chargers and the Broncos. 2 teams that are on the fringe of the playoffs. So I don't really have a beef really with any one of these guys being MVPs, but I think it's funny that they don't even mention Mahomes. Listen, I hate the fucking, I hate. I can't stand Kansas City Chiefs, but you got to keep it real. They fucking win. That's all that matters.
Like a career achievement award, right? We're always talking about those sorts of things with people. That's not it with Josh Allen. I agree with you. To me, this is him meeting the time. This is him meeting the moment. A lot of change around him on the offensive side of the ball, where Stephon Diggs was a wide receiver 1, no longer there. He's had guys in and out of the lineup at the tight end position because of injury. All right, he has a terrific offensive line, and they played to that. They added Amari Cooper, but late in the season to help him out at wide receiver. Khalil Shakir really jumped up, a 5th-round pick. And became kind of his go-to guy. And Joe Brady, he and Joe Brady really worked together well as offensive coordinator, play caller, and quarterback, because guess what? They actually used the running game to help. But to me, it's much more, he has hit the perfect time in his career where he's a veteran, yet still young enough to do all the things he's done before. So War Admiral, Justify, whatever Triple Crown horse you want to use, that's who Josh Allen is. And he can do all of those things, and he's continuing to do them. But he also looked across the landscape, didn't he, Trent? That guy in Kansas City pulled a team across the finish line twice with lesser guys on offense.
Yeah.
This was Josh Allen's time. The story is there. Evan Washburn, our colleague, talked to me about it 2 weeks ago. Sometimes the story is bigger, and the story's there for Josh, and he has met the moment in a big way. Everyone else is a contender, and rightly so. But guess what? I do believe it is Josh Allen's year, and he would deserve every bit of it.
It's been fun to watch. No disrespect to the NFC quarterbacks, but this just reinforces what we thought coming into the season, that the AFC is stacked, particularly in that position, and it has played out that way. All right, let's end the conversation, Trent, with a game that you were at, arguably the best, certainly of the night, in contention for the entire weekend here. Broncos, Bengals, and you've covered some Dolphin games this year too. What excites you the most about how it's all going to play out week 18 for that wild card spot?
Well, I don't want to jump into the management of both coaches in the game, but that's really, if you look at both of it, Zach Taylor, because they ended up winning the game, the time management part isn't as big of an issue as maybe what it would be. And there were some time management issues, I think, that Denver had in that game and what Sean Payton was trying to get done. Listen, understand going for the tie, because a tie gets them into the playoffs. Before that review of the touchdown pass by Bo Nix, that was the thing. They were going for two, and then somebody got in his ear and was like, listen, a tie gets us into the postseason. So I love this, how this is all coming down to the wire. I know Denver doesn't love it. They would rather have it all secured. They're going to be facing a Kansas City team that isn't playing majority of their starters. With 53 guys on the roster, you have to play some of your starters. But based on what Andy's done in the past, what Andy Reid's done in the past, he's not going to play Mahomes. He won't play Kelsey. He won't play Chris Jones. He's going to let those guys rest up. But this is an opportunity, and I think a big one for both the Dolphins and the Bengals, and the Broncos really control their destiny. But if they lose it and Miami beats the Jets, Miami gets in. If Denver loses, Miami loses, then all of a sudden Cincinnati has an opportunity against Pittsburgh to win it as well, or get into the playoffs as well. So, but Pittsburgh has something to play for. They're battling with Baltimore to try and get the division. So that's all going to be decided on Saturday, because those two games are on Saturday. So there'll be a lot going into the game, understanding what has to be done, what needs to take place. And the Broncos control everything, but the Dolphins, I want to see this week, Charles, if Tua is going to play this week. I know there was, he didn't play the past week. They said there's hip. McDaniel said after the game, I don't know if his hip's going to be ready. It's going to be, it's going to be up in the air how he practices all week. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this. And then the second thing to that, how did the Jets come out and play? It's their last game. They had a miserable game last week. It was awful. It was hard to watch. And they come out and respond the way that you would think a professional would respond, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I think those are the two factors for me. How do the Jets respond after that beatdown last week? Do they come out and fight for something? Or does Tua play, and that will have a big impact about attacking that defense as well? So I'm excited for it. It's great that it's come down to the final week, and we'll see what happens.
Trent, Charles, appreciate you as always. Thanks for on CBS Sports HQ talking NFL. We certainly love it. We have the Week 18 schedule on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus already unlocked.
So we had a nice little talk about the draft, about the upcoming playoffs. We'll see how the chips fall this weekend. I still don't see no one beating the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to be a Super Bowl champion again, barring an injury. And I think the Lions better show up against the Vikings, or else they will be going home early as well. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with these other games. Baltimore's got to win, even though they're playing Cleveland. Pittsburgh's got to win, and Cincinnati got to win. They're playing each other. There's a lot of football games that count this upcoming Saturday and Sunday. We'll cover a couple of them. Please like, share, subscribe to Nate's Live Talk. We're going to do something tomorrow night for New Year's Eve. I don't know what, but we'll be doing something, hanging out, eating some edibles, having some fun. Talking about the year that just passed. Looking forward to hopefully a better year. I hope everyone has a great new year. Please like, share, subscribe. We cover sports. We cover news. We cover all kinds of different things. Politics, hip-hop, music, Hollywood, conspiracy theories, ghosts. You name it, we got it. I'll catch you guys tomorrow evening for the New Year's Eve show. Love yous.